Hello, welcome friends. Now before we get confused, I am talking on behalf of Mr. Kevin Jarocki. I have no idea what I'm saying. In fact, shooter games make me nauseous. However, today I will be explaining Kevin's review on the Battlefield 1. Now let's begin. Battlefield 1 is a large multiplayer first-person shooter that was developed by EA Dice, which was published by Electronic Arts. The Battlefield series consists of 15 Battlefield games, where Battlefield 1 was the 15th installment. Battlefield 1 was released October 21st on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Battlefield 1 has two main game modes, campaign and multiplayer. Battlefield 1 is a game that tells you stories in multiple people's points of views, which is often not used in other games. What makes this unique is that each story in campaign mode has some sort of plot that all roots back to the main issue of the war. For example, there is a story where a man is separated into different battalions from his brother. While the main goal is to stay alive, he not only faces war, but also the need to find his brother. It is a great way to differentiate this war game from any other first-person shooters. Not only do we experience the adrenaline from being a soldier, but the game has the ability to pull at the heartstrings with personal stories included. This game clearly does not glorify violence. It does an excellent job in showing all the effects of the First World War and how it impacted the world. Battlefield 1 typically excels in showing the soldier's point of view so that the players may share more of a personal connection. Most war-based video games cover the stories of the Second World War, our current wars, and the future. Battlefield 1 covers one of the most important wars of history, as it is one of the War of the Worlds. World War I is the war that forced multiple countries in the world to form the League of Nations in 1919 that would have later formed the United Nations in 1945, this of which occurred at the end of the Second World War. This game gives a very realistic and historical experience. The Battlefield franchise developers clearly wanted to keep their word, and in doing so created one of the most realistic war experiences in today's gaming industry. The 64-player servers give the consumer a lifelike war experience. Most games have 32 or less players on each server. Having to face off against 32 other players may not seem like much compared to an actual war, but when someone transitions from playing games that usually have 10 people per team, such as Call of Duty, it is drastically noticed that you feel more chaos around you. This gives a sense of urgency where you always have to keep on guard in order to keep your characters alive. Another thing I enjoyed about this game in particular is the smooth mechanics of the controls in the game when on foot, in a vehicle, or plane. Again, the developers managed to make the movements that much more realistic to the player. Battlefield 1 is one of the only games that offers multiple classes, weapons, and vehicles in one multiplayer's game. You are made to choose your class before you spawn. There is never an automatically assigned class. Everything is your choice. You are based off with 4 pickable classes. 1. Assault, which is focused on tank busting and damage dealing to the opposite team. 2. Medic, which is focused on reviving and healing teammates. 3. Support, which is focused on providing ammunition and repairs vehicles for teammates. And 4. Scout, which spots enemies for your team and provides sniper support. These classes are clearly team-oriented. They need each other to be successful, since they all support specific features individually that other classes need. For example, the medic has a syringe for reviving, but the assault class has anti-tank mines, much like how we don't ask a mechanic to do heart surgery. If a game was played where everyone was to play as the assault class because they love tank busting, then they would most likely end up losing. The fact of the matter is that players would always die due to lack of ammo and medical attention. This is because classes are dependent on each other to succeed using teamwork. Vehicles in Battlefield 1 are spawn-based. They have a huge impact in teamwork as they help give infantry cover and provide support to take out other vehicles and large amounts of enemies. Battlefield 1 is one of the few games that mixes together infantry first-person multiplayer battles with vehicle battles. In Battlefield 1, you are able to pilot a tank, bomber, or even a horse. The experience achieved to level up is a lot more based off teamwork rather than personal performance. In a typical shooter game, you are only really given experience for kills, objective advancements, and assists. In Battlefield 1, the experience achieved is much more rewarding. You are given experience for almost everything you do, whether it is healing a teammate, fixing a tank, or even giving suppressing fire for your teammates. The game rewards you for doing things that support your team, where in other games you would not usually get experience or rewards for it. This causes players to have the need to play more supporting roles in the game because sometimes you will level up much faster than playing an attacking role. In my personal experience, I love playing as a medic because in a war environment, people will always need to be healed and revived. So it is an opportunity for an easy experience for myself while also making a huge impact in winning the game. The level advancement system in Battlefield 1 is different from your typical game. You have your own profile which can be leveled up. When your player's rank goes up, you earn war bonds, which is used as currency for weapons. This is a similar feature seen in Call of Duty Black Ops, where it is initially introduced, except the main difference is that you unlock different weapons by ranking up your pickable classes. This forces a player to play and master the specific class in order to obtain the better weapons in the higher class levels. Battlefield introduces a game mode that is the first of its own. The game mode is called Operations. This game mode is conquest-based, where you capture objectives, but instead of being able to retake points, the enemy is pushed back to another sector. This seems like a more typical conquest mode, except what is mainly different from other shooter games is that every different map and team you play on has its own realistic background story that is accurate to the history of the First World War. To conclude this review, EA does an excellent job in creating war-based first-person shooters that is historically accurate to the First World War, by making the main features of this game much more unique when compared to popular titles such as Call of Duty.